What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. Today I'm going to open 3 envelopes and we're going to go through each of those returns and profile each of the players that signed for me. So the first one is postmarked from California, and it is former Atlanta Braves outfielder Brian Asselstine on 1, 2, 3, and a 4th 1982 Topps. So let me tell you about Brian Asselstine and his career with the Atlanta Braves. Asselstine grew up in California, attended high school in California, and also attended college in California. He was originally drafted in the 7th round of the 1972 draft by the San Francisco Giants, but he chose not to sign with the Giants and instead waited till the next year while in college and was drafted 15th overall in the first round by the Atlanta Braves. At just 19 years old, he was assigned to the Braves' Single-A affiliate, where he spent some time at Single-A and Double-A for the Braves in 1973. In 1974, he spent the entire year, 126 games, in Double-A for the Braves. In 75, he was promoted to Triple-A, where he appeared in 122 games, where he batted .284 for the club. 1976, he would return to Triple-A, appearing in 122 games, but towards the end of the season, Atlanta called him up September 14th, and he made his major league debut with the club, appearing in 11 games, finishing out the season. Well, in 1977, he would basically have the opportunity to play the majority of the season with the Braves. However, he did spend 27 games in AAA that year for the Braves. Going into the 1978 season, Brian was going to be the full-time outfielder for the Braves, but on May 31st, 1978, he broke a bone on one of his ankles and was basically shut down for the rest of the year. Well, one could probably argue that that pretty much was the injury that basically ended his career. The 1979 season, he was only able to appear in 8 games for the big club and only 21 for their AAA affiliate. In 1980, with all the bones healed, he tried to come back, and he put up respectable numbers, batting .284, appearing in 87 games for the team. Well, in 1981, again being basically a part-time player, he appeared in 56 games for the club and batted .256 while patrolling the outfield on a part-time basis. Right before the 1982 season was to begin with the Braves, he was released by them like weeks before the end of spring training. According to his stats, he did not play anywhere in 1982, but did make a comeback in 1983, signing a contract with the Giants, the team that originally had tried to draft him. Well, the Giants allowed him to play in 116 games, and he batted .313 for their AAA affiliate, but despite those numbers, the Giants did not call him up to the majors that year, nor did they bring him back for the 1984 season. So after the 83 season, at 29 years old, Brian retired from being a player and moved on with his life. I'm not really sure what he has done after that. I really don't have the research to figure that one out. But he did spend some time in the majors for a while. I mean, he was a first-round pick, so obviously the Braves invested a heavily amount of money in this individual at one point. Unfortunately, that injury bug caught him towards the middle of his career, and he just never could bounce back from that. So, very happy to add Brian Asselstine to the collection, and we'll move on to the next one. This next one is postmarked from Columbia, South Carolina, and it is, of course, got to put one of my all-time Orioles cards out there again, Mike Anderson on 1. A second Orioles card makes 2. A duplicate of that Orioles card is the 3rd, and a 4th is a Philadelphia Philly. So let me tell you about Mike Anderson and his career in baseball. All right, to start out, this is Michael Allen Anderson, an outfielder. There are other Mike Andersons that have played in baseball, but before you go out and try to purchase cards or anything like that to contact Mr. Anderson, make sure you get the right Mike Anderson cards. So with that being said, the Philadelphia Phillies drafted Mike Anderson with their first round pick, 6th overall in the 1969 MLB draft out of high school. At 18 years old, he appeared in 82 games as the first round pick for the Phillies, batting .355 and 11 home runs. Well, the next year, in 1970, he appeared in 118 games, cracked 22 home runs, and batted .313 for their single-A affiliate. Well, in 1971, he skipped Double-A completely and appeared in 134 games in Triple-A for the Phillies. He hit 36 home runs and batted .334 in his Triple-A season in 1971 as a 20-year-old rookie. Well, with these monstrous numbers, the Phillies decided to call him up with their September call-ups on September 2nd, 1971. Anderson responded, playing basically the end of the year with the Phillies, and batted .247 and hit 2 more home runs. Well, despite his small showing in 1971 as a 20-year-old rookie, they decided to send him back to AAA, and in 88 games, he batted .298 and crushed 17 home runs for the Phillies AAA affiliate. Well, at this point, there was no holding back, and they brought Anderson up to the majors, where he appeared in 36 games to wind down the 1972 season. Well, in 1973, he batted .254 and hit 9 home runs in his first full season up in the majors. The following year in 74, he would appear in a career-high 145 games, and he would hit .251 and 5 home runs that year for the club. In 75, at just 24 years old, he would appear in 115 games and just would hit 4 home runs for the Phillies. Well, after the 75 season, the Phillies decided a change in scenery would probably be the best for Mike Anderson, and they traded him to the St. Louis Cardinals for pitcher Ron Reed. Anderson would not relinquish a full-time role with the Cardinals and would just spend 2 seasons with them before being let go out of his contract entering the 1978 season. He would then re-sign with the Phillies, the team that originally drafted him, and he would spend only a couple months with the team before they released him in June, and he would then sign with the Baltimore Orioles. He would then finish out the year with the Baltimore Orioles, but then the Orioles chose not to re-sign him, and guess what? He re-signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. So this is the 3rd time now that he signed with the Phillies. And he appeared in 79 games at the Major League Club for the Phillies that year, batting .231, and then appeared in 9 games for their AAA affiliate. Well, after his struggles with his 3rd reunion, or 3rd marriage with the Phillies sent him back to AAA in 1980. He would not return to the major leagues in the 1980 season, and after that season he would be let go, where he would sign with the Pittsburgh Pirates and appear in 39 games in 1981 for their AAA affiliate. In total, Anderson played 9 years in the major leagues. He played part of 6 years with the Philadelphia Phillies alone, not consecutively, but after 3 stints with the Phillies, and appeared in 721 games throughout his career. Unfortunately, his major league numbers did not translate that well compared to his minor league numbers. For his career, he hit just 28 home runs his entire major league career. Now remember, I told you in 1971 he hit 36 and batted .334. So that 1 year he lived up to his draft pick status in AAA, and the results just did not translate for him at the major league level. But overall, he had a respectable career, and I'm very, very happy to add his autograph to my all-time Orioles collection. So we'll move on to the next one. All right, so this next one is postmarked from former Texas Rangers great relief pitcher Jim Kern on 1, a second makes 2, and a third 1982 Topps. And I'm not really sure if I sent a duplicate card I want to say that maybe I sent a dupe of that one or that one, and he decided to keep it, which is perfectly fine. I am extremely happy to get Jim Kern's autograph back because he is somebody that I never gotten before. So let me tell you about Jim Kern and his all-star career in baseball. Standing at an imposing 6'5", Jim Kern signed as a minor league free agent with the Cleveland Indians in 1967. He signed very late in the 1967 season, so did not make his professional debut until the next year in 1968 for the rookie ball and single-A affiliate of the Indians. Well, Kern would spend from 1968 to 1974 making his craft wonderful, and in 1974, still a starter, went 17-7 for the AAA affiliate of the Cleveland Indians. Well, the Indians took notice of this. They called him up on September 6th, 1974 to make an appearance. He would start 3 of the 4 games in 1974 for the Indians and would post a 0 wins and 1 loss record that year. Well, in 1975, he would return to the Indians, but this time would split time between being a reliever. In 1976, he would strictly be placed in the bullpen, and this is when he kind of saw the flash of greatness begin. He had an immaculate 10-7 record with a 2.37 ERA and 50 appearances for the Indians that year out of the bullpen. Well, the following year, he would also take over the closer role, closing 15 games for the Indians in 1976. He would then remain the closer going into the 1977 and 1978 season for the Indians, and he would actually save 18 and 13 games, making an all-star appearance in both 1977 and 78 for the Tribe. After the 1978 season, the Indians, I guess, figured they could not re-sign him, so they shipped him to the Texas Rangers for Lynn Barker and Bobby Bonds. And this is when magic happened, would be the best way I could put it. This is probably, and still to this day, was one of the best seasons still in the history of the Texas Rangers. In 1979, at 30 years old, Jim Kern went 13-5 in 71 games, had a minuscule ERA of 1.57, and saved 29 games that year while returning to the All-Star game for the 3rd consecutive year, also earning the Rolaids Relief Man of the Year award. Well, unfortunately, some injuries precluded him after this season, and this is possibly one of those examples of overuse of a relief pitcher. The following year, in 1980, his record dropped to 3-11, and he had an ERA of 4.83. He only saved 2 games that year for the team. In 1981, the magic appeared to come back, where he appeared in 23 games, not as the primary closer. He did save 6, but he posted a 1-2 record with the 2.70 ERA. Well, after the 81 season concluded, the Rangers decided to trade him to the New York Mets. Well, he wouldn't stay long with the Metropolitans, as the Mets would flip him only a couple months later and trade him to the Cincinnati Reds for George Foster. So this is how George Foster came to the New York Mets, if you remember that trade way back when. Well, he would only spend part of the season, which you would think for a legend like George Foster, they'd give him a little more time. He would only spend part of the season in 1982 with the Reds before they shipped him to the Chicago White Sox. Despite having an excellent record in Cincinnati, he struggled a little bit when he got to Chicago. Well, the next year, in 1983, injuries came back, and the White Sox basically only saw Jim in 1 game. After the 83 season concluded, he would be let go from his contract, and he would bounce around from the Phillies and the Brewers, going up and down through basically the 1985 season. And then a great reunion would be in store, where Kern would have the opportunity to return to the team that originally drafted him, the Cleveland Indians. And at 37 years old, he appeared in 16 games, finishing his career with a 1-win and 1-loss record. So this is, again, one of those fireball pitchers. I mean, for a short period of time, Jim Kern was possibly, arguably, one of the best closers in baseball. During a 4-year period from 1976 to 1979, he won 42 games, had 75 saves, and he averaged more than 100 innings pitched per year. For a reliever, that is awesome. Over a 4-year period, the average. So, again, this is one of those guys that when he was on the top of his game, he was the best. And then his arm gave him issues, and then he just kind of bounced around the rest of his career. Well, a neat thing about him is he was nicknamed the Amazing Emu, okay? And if you watch Liberty Mutual commercials, you know who Emu the Wemu is. But he was the Amazing Emo, and he actually started an outdoor outfit company, basically called Emu Outfitting. So, if you've ever seen Emu Outfitters, Jim Kern is the owner behind that business. In 2006, he was named as one of the greatest Texas Rangers pitchers of all time, and still to this day, some of his records still are the top records in Texas Rangers history. So I'm super enthusiastic to get Jim Kern's autograph, an all-star. This is another one of those guys that, you know, you kind of forget about. You know, he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's not, you know, Goose Gossage. He's not Raleigh Fingers. But this guy, darn, was as close for that 4-year period, better than those Hall of Famers. So that's the amazing part about this guy. Very happy to add Jim Kern's autograph to the collection. Also very happy to add Mike Anderson, another Baltimore Oriole, to the collection on multiple cards. Also very happy to add former first-round pick of the Atlanta Braves, Brian Asselstine, to the collection. I've never gotten any of these individuals before, and I, you know, basically went through my common boxes out in the garage and decided to put them together and send out to these guys. So thank you again for joining me for another episode, and as always, happy collecting.